So today's topic is child support, what new custodial parents need to know. And we'll be addressing not only uh, people who have already started with the process, but we may have in the audience, or some of you in the audience may know people who are considering child support, but maybe they have some reservations or concerns. We'll try to address all of that today. So to get started, let's discuss some common terms that we use and abbreviations. The CP is the custodial parent. That's the parent with whom the child spends the majority of time. It's the parent who makes the majority of expenditures on the child's behalf. The custodial parent is going to receive child support when the support is payable to the custodial parent. The non-custodial parent is the parent who does not have custody of the child the majority of the time, and we call that the NCP. It's the NCP who pays child support. And there are non-custodial parents who who have their child with them 40% of the time, but they're still non-custodial parents. Unfortunately, there are non-custodial parents who never see their child, who may not want to see their child because the child's young and it's a toxic relationship with the custodial parent. Regardless, the philosophy behind child support is that the two people who are responsible for bringing a child into the world should share in the financial, emotional, and medical support of that child or children. Current support is the amount an NCP is required to pay on a regular basis as established by a court order, and we'll talk a little bit more about court orders shortly. Current support could be something like $150 every 2 weeks or $300 weekly. Current support is intended to be based on an accurate picture of the non-custodial parents' earnings. When current support isn't paid, then the account goes into arrears, which are unpaid child support debt. DSS is the Department of Social Services, which is the parent agency of Human Resources Administration and OCSS. DSS is important in this instance because when the children on the case are receiving cash assistance or other benefits such as Medicaid or SNAP, supplemental nutrition, the current support payments made by the non-custodial parent go to DSS to reimburse DSS for the cost of providing those benefits rather than to the custodial parent. As we'll discuss in a bit, that doesn't mean that the custodial parent doesn't receive some benefit when current support is being paid to DSS. We'll talk about that in a little more detail. So custodial parent, non-custodial parent, current support, arrears, cash assistance means payments may be going to the Department of Social Services. Next slide. Okay, there are a lot of benefits to child support. First off, legal parentage is established. That means the law knows who the parents of this child are. And that's important because there may be benefits available to the child from the non-custodial parent, such as veterans benefits or Social Security benefits that will only be paid when the parentage is established. It also means, as I mentioned earlier, that regular payments are made based on the NCP's income. It also provides formal documentation of child support, of financial support, which is very helpful and avoids, you didn't pay me last month. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. Show me the receipt then. I did pay you. I don't have the receipt. Oh, no, you didn't pay me. We can provide an account statement to the parties or to the court to provide formal documentation of financial support. Collections are also enforced so that if the NCP falls in behind and there are arrears and child support debt owed on the case, automatically enforcement actions will begin, such as suspension of a driver license, inability to renew a passport, or several other types of enforcement that are designed to make the non-custodial parent recognize the obligation and pay off that debt. Child support also means, as I mentioned earlier, that the cost of raising a child or children is shared by both parents, as it should be. Next slide. So the child support OCSS mission statement is that we put children first by helping both parents support their children. We do that by locating non-custodial parents when necessary and establishing parentage. Again, a child support order cannot be issued until the parentage has been established. The child support order is established in family court in a special part overseen by the support magistrate. And once a child support order has been issued, we monitor and enforce that order. And when necessary, we make it our business to help non-custodial parents find employment and avoid and manage any debt that results from their child support case. Next slide. Our clients include mothers, fathers, and guardians, regardless of income or immigration status. And I want to stress that. We sometimes hear a potential custodial parent say, well, I don't want to apply for child support because my ex isn't in the country legally, and I don't want to see him get deported because then he won't be able to see his child, so I'm not going to apply for child support. We do not look at immigration status. Now, that is a New York State policy. And let's go to the next slide for a second, Izzy. A key thing to realize about child support is it's federally mandated and has been since 1975. It's state supervised and it's locally administered. So what we're going to talk about today is how child support works in New York State, and particularly how it works with cases that are in the 5 boroughs of New York City. Again, child support is federally mandated, not only, by the way, for all 50 states, but also for about 24 tribal governments for Native Americans in various parts of the country. It's state supervised. Now that's important. And the reason I put this slide here is because if you have a friend who's considering child support and they live in Arizona or New Mexico, chances are that immigration status may be a requirement for child support. There are states that routinely put non-custodial parents who are behind in their payments into jail. We very rarely do that in New York State. So the policies differ from state to state, and child support is administered locally. OCSS, the Office of Child Support Services, is part of the New York City Human Resources Administration, and we oversee child support cases that are based in the 5 boroughs of New York City. Next slide. Child support improves outcomes for families. It gives custodial parents financial stability and leaves them more satisfied with their child care. There can be separate payments in child support for child care for very young children who aren't in school yet. For non-custodial parents, child support gives them a voice in their children's future. They're more likely to engage with their children and find and keep employment. For children, studies show that children who are the beneficiaries of child support are more likely to complete school, exhibit increased self-control, and show improvements on lots of other social indicators as well. And in fact, child support has a greater effect on how well a child does in school than other sources of income. So this is important to bear in mind. Child support is a positive and a healthy thing. Next slide. Now, most parents that are receiving our services have low incomes. And you can see that among custodial parents, currently about 38% of our caseload are receiving benefits, and 42% have received benefits in the past, and only 20% of custodial parents have never received benefits. So these are low-income custodial parents that we serve. On the NCP side, 20% are currently receiving benefits, 43% former, and 37% never received any benefits. So it's a low-income program. Next slide. And we reach a lot of children. There are over 200,000 children on cases where there is an order of support, and 40,000 children on cases that don't yet have an order of support. What does that mean? Well, there are two basic reasons why there may not be an order in a case. First off, perhaps we haven't located the non-custodial parent yet, so we can't bring a case. We built a case with the help of the custodial parent, but we have not located the non-custodial parent. The second possibility is that we've located the non-custodial parent, we've filed a petition in court, or the custodial parent has filed a petition in court, but the court has not yet issued an order of support. Now, we have almost 500,000 children under 18 on our caseload, and that includes 1 out of 7 children in New York City. And in fact, in the United States, countrywide, 1 out of 5 children receives child support. So child support is a routine and frequent factor in the lives of families. It's not something that should be viewed as unusual or a stigma. It's a positive way to make sure both parents support their family. Next slide. And it's changed. In 1975, when it became federally mandated, child support was really a cost recovery program focused on paying back government benefits. That was back in the day. Ronald Reagan was yelling and screaming about welfare queens, and there were a whole lot of social issues that caused child support to be federally mandated, and it was really aimed at recouping money that had been paid to benefits. Now it's a much more child-focused program, recognizing the importance of both parents in the child's life. And this is true, by the way, in most parts of the country, not just New York State. There are many good child support programs that are state supervised in other parts of the country, but we're, of course, focused on how things go in New York State. Next slide. Okay, ours is a 2-generation approach where the goal is to help children receive the support they need and work with parents to reduce financial stress, with the goal of breaking the cycle of poverty across 2 generations. We realize in many instances it's going to take more, but the goal is to help children live their lives free from the problems created by poverty, such as homelessness and food insecurity. So that's the goal. Next slide, Izzy. Okay, so we have a long relationship with our clients. From the time a case is opened, let's say the case is opened when the child is 2 years old. In New York State, as we'll talk about a little later, the age of emancipation is 21. So if we start a case and get an order regarding a 2-year-old child, we're going to have a 19-year relationship with the custodial parent and the non-custodial parent. And this is not like, commercial clients where you may drink one brand of coffee for a couple of years and then switch to a different brand of coffee, or you never fly on Spirit Airlines, but you pick other airlines. With us, once you become our client, you're kind of stuck with us until the end of the order. So we open a case, we establish parentage, then we go to family court and establish an order in front of the support magistrate. And then we go about the many years of collecting and distributing support, and where necessary, enforcing or modifying the order. And I want to stress that when we look at a child support case, it's very common that the case has been modified several times over its lifetime. That could be because the NCP loses a job or has hours cut, which means there could be a downward modification. The NCP gets a promotion and a better job, and there's an upward modification. The NCP goes on disability for 6 months because of a job-related injury and is receiving workers' comp, but it's smaller than the salary. So the NCP should apply for a downward modification. So it's a long life cycle that we have with our clients. Next slide. Izzy, I think this is where you take over, right?
Yes, sir. So thank you, Chuck. So what we're going to do now is we're going to talk a little bit about how the process starts. The process starts in two different ways. There's a process where custodial parents who receive cash assistance receive a mandatory referral to our borough offices. All other custodial parents come to our family court on their own. The borough offices are currently conducting interviews in person as well as on phone. An OCSS caseworker works one-on-one with the custodial parent to complete the child support application. CPs are not receiving child cash assistance can apply for child support by visiting the OCSS Family Court Support Services offices located in each branch of Family Court in all 5 boroughs, or they're also welcome to utilize the mobile app, which we'll discuss a little later in this presentation. Even if a CP visits the wrong office, under the OCSS no wrong door policy, the staff at the office will assist the CP to the fullest extent possible. So you could pretty much go to any office and we can help start that process for you. Also, it's important to know that to apply for child support services, you must provide information about yourself, your child or children, and the non-custodial parent. If safety is a concern, the child support program and court have ways to help you access child support services safely. You can request an electronic testimony instead of an in-person appearance in court. Request the court not to reveal your location, residence, or employer. Your information is removed from petitions, notices, and any required financial disclosures. But note, while your address can be suppressed from all forms, it is not possible to suppress the name of the county, child support agency, or the court that issued the order. Requests for laboratory appointments for genetic testing to establish parentage be scheduled separately from other parents. And also you'll file for the order of protection. So for more information, you will be able to download our Get Child Support Safety flyer. Establishing parentage is extremely important because without it, we cannot establish an order. So it's establishing paternity brings social benefits to the child and works towards building a father-child relationship that could last a lifetime. Parentage preserves inheritance rights and legally grants the child access to key benefits like Veterans Administration benefits, Social Security administrative benefits, supplemental security income benefits, and even death benefits. Parentage gives fathers a voice in the court order visitation, custody, or adoption rights, no order can be made if parentage is still in question. The fee for DNA testing to establish paternity is $40 per person, which can be waived for CA clients and those under excruciating circumstances. Parentage can be established in the following ways: by marriage. So, if the two parties are married during the time of the child's birth or after, then that will count. A signed acknowledgement of parentage, which is also known as an AOP, that is usually signed in the hospital or can be signed in one of our offices. Or it could be done through the court systems by either a verbal acknowledgement or a DNA testing that will be issued in court. The process for CPs, as I mentioned before, it starts off with that initial interaction with an OCSS worker. The custodial parent provides OCSS with information about the non-custodial parent and receives screenings for domestic violence. OCSS attempts to locate the NCP using state and federal databases and may potentially contact the NCP's employer. If if we are unable to locate the NCP, the case is on hold while we search. If the NCP is located, a petition is filed for parentage and or support. A summons is sent to the NCP, and appearance notice is mailed to the CP. A court date is typically established for 4 to 5 weeks after a petition is filed. Returns to court one or more times if necessary to complete documentation or establish parentage. And the court determines support amount on the CP will receive that child support order. So let's take a moment to talk a little bit more about the key elements of a court order. So once agreement is reached, either in court or with OCSS customer service staff, a child support is established by the court. The key elements of court order are the obligation amount, which is the total amount the NCP is going to be required to pay, the frequency of the payments, which means the time period that they're going to pay at every interval. So, for example, every 2 weeks, every month, annually, and how the child will receive medical insurances. This could happen by way of the CP or the NC, or even through state-funded programs like Medicaid and Child Health Plus, as well as the different types of support an NCP will be required to pay, such as basic support, which is the actual obligation, a retroactive support, which is going to go back from the moment the petition was filed to that court date, or other expenses such as childcare or educational expenses and so forth. As far as receiving child support, the obligation to pay child support is from the moment the order is filed. After the order is established, support can be received by families in as little as 2 weeks, depending if we make sure all the necessary paperwork for a direct deposit is possible. For non-CA clients, custodial parents are not receiving the cash assistance. Okay, I'm sorry. Custodial parents not receiving cash assistance get 100% of all current supports collected. They also receive 100% of all payments towards debt owed to them. However, there will be a $35 annual processing fee after $550 is collected. For cash assistance clients or CA clients, it's a little different. They will receive up to $200 per month in current child support payments on top of their existing cash assistance benefit. With one child, they could receive a maximum of $100 per month. With 2 or more, it's going to be a maximum of $200 a month. Now, bear with us. This is if the NCP is paying, you will receive a maximum of that amount. If the NCP is paying, let's just say $50 a month, then that will be passed over. So it's not going to be $100. It's going to be whatever the NCP is paying. So how much support is expected? That's a great question that people ask all the time. Child support works by the percentage of the non-custodial parent's income. These percentages are determined by the Child Support Standards Act. If there is one child in the non-custodial, they're expected to pay 17% of their income. For two children, it's 25, and the percentages increases up to five or more children with at least 35% of the income. So let's take a look at this example that we have here. If our non-custodial parent Bill makes 60,000 annually, what can the custodial parent Lily expect in child support? Well, based on this fund, if there's one child, Lily can expect to receive an annual amount of 10,200 in child support. If there's two children, it will then be 15,000 annually. And if it's three children, then it will be $17,400 annually. Now, when I say annually, that's going to be throughout the year, which will be broken down depending on the frequency that's determined by the court. As an alternative to the court process, we have a new thing called stipulated agreement. OCSS has worked hard to offer clients an alternative to the traditional court approach. A stipulated agreement is designed to reduce the number of times parents need to go to court and allow parents to come to an agreement on child support. So, this child support stipulation agreement program process is as follows. The parents, during the initial phone interviews, OCSS will offer both cash assistance and non-cash assistant clients the opportunity to enter into a stipulated agreement voluntarily. This new approach will offer parents the opportunity to meet with a customer service representative to prepare an agreement signed by both parents and based on the standard child support guidelines. Both parents meet with customer service staff to fill out and sign an agreement based off the Child Support Standard Act guidelines, NCP's income, and the CP's income. The agreement is sent to court. A hearing will be scheduled, and the NCP is served a summons. Agreement review in court and finalized by the support magistrate. Both parents must appear in court for the agreement to be converted into an order. Usually, only one court appearance will be required for an order on consent to be approved by the court. Also, keep in mind if this is a cash assistance case, then only the NCP will most likely be responsible to attend. The NCP receives the child support order, and then from there, the order will begin. Modifying an existing order can be done by any party in court to modify for an upward, where you could get more money, or downward, where you are dealing with circumstances beyond your control in which you may have lost your job. So circumstances include for upward or downward would be a new job or a raise, job loss or decreased income, incarceration, sudden disability, whether it being temporary or permanent, and change in custody. Keep in mind, if there is a change in custody, it is on the NCP and the CP to contact us when these things happen, as if we don't know off the top of our head when these things do occur. So please keep that in mind at all times. Now, a question that also comes up a lot is, when does the child support end? Well, in New York State, the age of emancipation is 21 years old. Now, you do not need to file a petition for this when the time comes. It automatically closes the case. However, there are circumstances where we could extend it for up to 2 years for situations like college fees and tuitions, but that needs to be done prior to the child emancipating. So you will have to go to the courts before the child turns 21, and it will have to be at least 6 months before to qualify. However, age of emancipation does not necessarily have to end at 21. Circumstances can change that. And those circumstances can include when parents reconcile, right? That means both parents have decided to get back together and they have reconciled, and now there's no need for a child support case. When The child moves in with the NCP again when their roles are reversed. However, this must be, they must let us know so that we could end the order. When the child joins the military, or when the child gets married, or becomes fully independent. And unfortunately, as well, when the child passes away. Any arrears accumulated when the child emancipated will still be owed. This is something that a lot of people think is the case where, oh, I just have to wait till the child turns 21 and I don't owe anything. No, you will have arrears and that will be necessary to still be paid off. So the case will not close. Moving forward, there won't be an additional fees, but you will still have to pay child support, and that's if that's the case. Right. With that said, I'm going to pass it back to Chuck. He's going to talk a little bit about debt and how to reduce debt.
Thank you, Izzy. Now, debt is a serious problem in child support. There's a lot of unpaid debt. And we know that unpaid child support can impact the mental and physical health, not only of the custodial parent, also the non-custodial parent, and even the children on the case. And non-payment of current support creates debt. It can often lead to conflict between the custodial parent and the non-custodial parent, potentially less contact for the non-custodial parent with the children, and naturally less income for low-income CPs. That's why we've developed programs, particularly in the past 10 years or so, to help NCPs reduce their debt, learn how to manage their debt, and learn the skills to help them get better jobs so that they can erase debt and hopefully even be able to pay a little more to the custodial parent. Next slide. As Izzy mentioned, our programs to reduce debt are most powerful when the debt is owed to DSS and we can forgive it. We're not in a position to forgive debt that's owed directly to the custodial parent. However, mediation services can address not only child support debt that's owed to custodial parents, but lots of other issues that are also of concern to both CPs and NCPs. Mediators can help parents come to agreements about past due child support payments, future child support payments, custody or visitation, and other types of conflicts such as communication. I hate it because my ex always calls me late at night and I'm already asleep because I got to get up and go to work. I wish he would deal with me by text instead. Oh, I didn't know that. I'll do that in the future. So mediation services are a very valuable tool. One of the things I'll send you is a list of mediators that we've trained and approved for child support related issues. So please keep mediation in mind as something that you, or if you're with a community-based organization, your clients could benefit from. Next slide. Now, in the last few years, we've developed the Access HRA Child Support mobile app. And this is a very handy tool. You can download it from the QR code that you see on the screen, or go to nyc.gov/child support mobile. With the child support app, you can apply for child support, submit various forms and affidavits, make an online credit card payment. The NCP can make an online credit card payment with no fee, which is huge because lots of credit card payment services that relate to child support can charge like $3 or $4 per payment. Well, if you're making payments bi-weekly, that's 26 times a year, $4 a pop, that's over $100. So to be able to make a payment with no fee, not only with credit card, but also with Venmo, is huge. The NCP can also apply for agreements and debt reduction. Next slide. Okay, so the benefits for custodial parents with the mobile app is you can get started in enrolling in child support without an in-person interview. You can start on your mobile app and finish up over the phone if need be. You can update your contact information so we make sure that the payments get to you. And you can receive notices and appointment reminders for clients that are receiving a benefit. Next slide. And we're here to help. Our customer services can answer all kinds of questions. We can help custodial parents apply for child support. We can explain the payments and obligations. We can help modify an order, change an address. We can explain enforcement measures and offer relief if need be. We can counsel on debt reduction programs and employment programs. We have offices throughout the city. And I'll be sending you a list of those. There's an office in Family Court in all 5 boroughs, and there are borough offices for clients who are receiving cash benefits in all the boroughs except Staten Island. Next slide. I also want to call your attention to a very valuable legal resource called Family Legal Care. You can see their phone number and their web address there on the lower left of your screen. They have a helpline that can give basic family law information by phone, live chat, or email. In certain circumstances, they can provide legal consultations, and they have tech hubs where people who may not have a computer or an internet connection can go to file the necessary forms for things like modifications or an initial order. So Family Legal Care, an important resource. Next slide. Here are other resources. When we send you this presentation, all these are clickable. We have a playlist on YouTube, a video on how to request an appointment with OCSS. And the key down there on the left-hand column, 4th from the top, contact us. The email for OCSS customer services is dcse.cseweb@dfa.state.ny.us. If you email them, you can schedule a telephone appointment. You can also watch how to do that in the video that's listed on the right-hand column, 2nd from the top, how to request a phone appointment with OCSS. Okay, we have reached the end of this morning's presentation.